Join us for this episode of Chuffed Adventures as we head to Puerto Jimenez for some beach exploring before putting the boat in the marina in Golfito. We awoke early and had a slow start getting the anchor up in the morning.
Yeah.
Puerto Jimenez is located approximately 12 nautical miles from Playa Blanca, and with very little wind in sight, we knew it would be a long journey motoring.
There is just no wind this morning at all. We're anchored just off of Puerto Jimenez, which is in that direction. And we've got this nice little beach behind us. We'll probably spend the evening here and then go across the Gulf again to Golfito and put the boat in the marina tomorrow. Is the rough plan. We're currently anchored in, what are we down to, like
1.8 meters of water.
Yep. And the tide's going out, but the good news is if we touch the bottom it doesn't really matter since we've got the keel up and a flat bottom at the moment anyway. But I think we'll be alright. Yeah. It's a really hard place to anchor because it goes from 60 meters to a meter in only, in a really short distance. So you're kind of anchoring on the shelf, and then if the wind's blowing us towards shore like it is at the moment, it means you end up in really shallow water. So yeah, all good though for us.
I think somebody was even telling us this used to be an old volcano. That's why there's the big lips and edges.
Yeah, I believe it.
I don't know. They told me that in a bar.
You can trust the source.
They were not a very... They didn't seem to have any kind of geology background or anything.
After settling in on anchor, Joel prepared all the ropes for our arrival in the marina. We then decided to explore the little beach nearby and see what wildlife we could find.
Sure, it's a tube worm.
Yeah.
You can see the detritus. It's just taking the sand in one end and essentially pooping it out the other end.
And so that's why it's slowly moving like that.
Yeah, because it's also digging a tunnel at the same time. It's like earthworms.
Yeah.
You know, except a little different from earthworms. But if you look right here, you can see the actual casing where it's coming out from this angle. You can see.
Oh, you can see it.
Yeah. You can see the actual casing.
So that's like the opening of the worm.
That's the butt.
That's the butt.
Looking at the worm butt.
Nice close-up, detailed view of the worm butt, pooping out all that sand.
I'm pretty sure they're juveniles. waving.
Yeah, they're all waving at each other.
So they're feeding themselves with one hand.
Mm-hmm.
One.
Run away, little brown crab, he'll get you.
Back on board, we were rewarded with a pretty rainbow, which I tried and failed to make land in our pot of gold cocktail. The next morning, we woke up early, did some stretches, and got ready to head to Golfito.
Alright, so we've got a little bit of breeze, so we're going to try lift the anchor and put the sails up with no engine and get our way across the Gulf. So we'll see how we go and whether the breeze sticks around, because it's not a lot, but hopefully enough for us to actually do some sailing today, which would be nice.
We decided to put the mainsail up before lifting anchor to make it easier to turn once the anchor was up. It was my turn to be captain today, so I was raising the sail and giving all of the instructions. With the mainsail up completely, it was time for Joel to lift anchor. In hindsight, being anchored in only 1.5 meters of water was probably not the best time to practice putting the sails up and not using the engine. But we ended up having to pull the head sail out on the opposite side and turn in the direction away from where we were heading, and then eventually, once we turned all the way, could pull the head sail back out onto the other side and start heading towards Golfito. It was a little bit of fun and a good learning experience, and I think definitely something we'll practice more in the future.
So we're just trying to trim the sail to get a bit more speed. At the moment we're getting 2.7 knots, but our head sail only has telltales at the very bottom, which does make it a little harder to tell if your sail's trimmed nicely. But we're doing some adjustments and we hopefully will get a little bit better speed. But yeah, we're getting like 2.7 to 3 knots, which isn't too terrible. So.
With a maximum speed of 3 knots, which often dropped down to only 1 knot, we spent a lot of time just relaxing and chilling on the boat, enjoying our last little hurrah before putting in the marina. As we drew closer to Golfito, I started putting fenders out and got all the lines ready for our arrival. We made our way towards Fish Hook Marina, which was going to be our new home for the next 90 days while we're in bond. We came in a little fast, but thankfully Chuffed is nice and light, and with the help of a lot of people, we slowed her down nicely and had an uneventful docking. Join us next episode as we celebrate Joel's birthday at the beach, and I get to meet a sweet little dog called Roscoe with a serious eye problem. Until next time, stay chuffed, everybody.